The Forbidden Zone, the emergency klaxons echoed through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Federation's Central Command Station, a sound that had not been heard in over 3 centuries. Ambassador Velox rushed through the corridors, his 6 legs carrying his insectoid frame faster than dignity usually allowed. As the senior representative of the Zephyrian Collective, he had seen many crises during his 400 years of service, but nothing that warranted a full Federation emergency protocol. The command chamber doors dilated as he approached, revealing a scene of controlled chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the amphitheater-style room, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of sounds, lights, and chemical signals. At the center of the chamber, a massive holographic display showed a small blue world orbiting a yellow star in what the locals called the Milky Way. Galaxy.High Arbiter Kree floated at the chamber's apex, her ancient form barely visible as shifting patterns of energy contained within a crystalline shell. She had been old when most of the current civilizations were still discovering fire, and her voice carried the weight of eons when she spoke. "Fellow beings of the Federation," Kree began. Her words translated instantly into the neural patterns each species could comprehend. "We face an unprecedented situation. The 3rd planet of the Sol system has achieved faster-than-light travel." A ripple of interest moved through the assembled delegates. New species achieving FTL travel was common enough, usually cause for celebration, and eventual contact protocols. But the emergency klaxons suggested something far more serious. "Show them the readings," Kree commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing energy signatures that made several delegates recoil in their seats. The readings showed massive distortions in spacetime itself, reality-altering fluctuations that defied every known law of physics. Dr. Yix of the Silicon Collective, a being whose crystalline body had witnessed the birth and death of stars, spoke in harmonics that sounded like breaking glass. "This is impossible. These readings suggest localized reality manipulation on a scale we have never encountered." "Not impossible," Kree replied grimly. "We have encountered this phenomenon once before, 12 million years ago. It nearly destroyed our galaxy." A chamber fell silent. Even the atmospheric processors seemed to quiet as every being present absorbed the implications of those words. Ambassador Velox found his voice first. "High Arbiter, are you suggesting that these humans possess the ability to alter fundamental reality?" "I am not suggesting it," Kree replied. "I am stating it as fact. When their first vessel achieved faster-than-light travel 3 days ago, the resonance effect was detected by monitoring stations across 17 sectors. Reality itself bent around their ship, not through technology, but through something far more dangerous: collective unconscious will." The holographic display shifted again, showing the path of humanity's first FTL vessel. Wherever it had traveled, space-time showed permanent alterations. Stars burned slightly brighter, planets showed improved atmospheric conditions, and dead systems showed signs of renewed life. "They do not even realize what they are doing," Kree continued. "This species possesses an unconscious ability to impose their collective will upon reality itself. Their hopes, dreams, and determination can literally reshape the universe around them." Commander Thizes of the Warrior Caste, a 7-foot-tall reptilian whose species had conquered 16 systems through pure military might, slammed his clawed fist against his platform. "Then we destroy them before they become a threat. One species cannot be allowed to possess such power." The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees as Kree's energy form flared with ancient authority. "Fool, do you think we have not considered that option? 12 million years ago, the architects tried to destroy the last species that possessed this gift. The resulting conflict tore apart half the galaxy and left entire sectors as dead zones that remain uninhabitable to this day. She gestured, and new images appeared showing vast regions of space where nothing existed. Not empty space, but literal nothingness where reality itself had been damaged beyond repair. The last species with this gift nearly unmade existence, itself in their death throes. These humans show every sign of possessing the same ability, but on a potentially greater scale. Their population numbers in the billions, compared to the architect's millions. Dr. Zenth of the Pacifist Coalition, whose species had devoted themselves to healing and diplomacy for millennia, raised a tentacle in question. Surely there must be a way to communicate with them, to help them understand and control this ability. Communication itself is the danger, Cree replied. The moment we make contact, the moment we acknowledge their existence to them, their collective unconscious will become aware of the greater galaxy. Their curiosity, their desire to explore and understand, will begin reshaping reality on a galactic scale. The implications hit every delegate simultaneously. A species that could unconsciously alter reality simply by wanting to explore would inevitably change everything they encountered, regardless of consent or consequences. There is only one option, Cree announced. Full quarantine protocol. Number. Species may enter the Sol system. No communication may be attempted. The humans must remain isolated until either their ability fades naturally, or until we develop countermeasures that can contain the effects of reality manipulation. A vote was unanimous. Within hours, automated beacons were placed at every hyperspace route leading to Sol system, broadcasting a simple message in every known language. Forbidden zone. Entry prohibited by galactic LA to reality hazard. But 3 light years away from Earth, Captain Zara Thorne of the human exploration vessel New Horizons received no such warning. She had been conducting a survey of the Proxima Centauri system when the quarantine went into effect, making her and her crew of 12 the only humans in known space outside of their home system. Zara stood on the bridge of her ship, staring at the strange energy barrier that had appeared between her and Earth overnight. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her brown eyes showed the determination that had driven her to become humanity's youngest deep space captain. At 30-5. Dr. Vasquez, what are your readings on this barrier? She asked her chief science officer, Dr. Elena Vasquez, a brilliant physicist who had volunteered for deep space exploration to escape the politics of Earth's scientific community, frowned at her instruments. It's not natural, Captain. The energy. Signature suggests artificial construction, but the technology involved is beyond anything in our databases. Could it be some kind of protective measure? Maybe there's a dangerous phenomenon near Earth that someone is trying to shield us from? Before Elena could respond, their communications officer looked up from his station with confusion written across his young face. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the barrier. They're in languages I don't recognize, but the computer is showing translation attempts. Put it through the speakers, Zara ordered. The bridge filled with the sounds of dozens of different alien languages, all broadcasting the same message over and over. When the computer's translation program finally processed the data, a single line of text appeared on their main screen. Forbidden zone, entry prohibited by galactic LA2 reality hazard. The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed the implications. They were not alone in the universe, and somehow their home had been declared off-limits by galactic civilization. Elena, Zara said quietly, run a full scan of our ship and the surrounding space. I want to know if we've done something that these aliens consider a reality hazard. As Dr. Vasquez worked frantically at her station, none of them noticed the subtle changes their presence was causing in local space. The nearby asteroid field was slowly organizing itself into more stable orbits. The radiation from a distant pulsar was being mysteriously filtered to safer levels. Reality itself was bending slightly around their ship, responding to their unconscious desires for safety and order. 50 light-years away, Commander Nith of the Cathari Defense Force watched his homeworld dying, the plague that was consuming. His people had resisted every treatment, every technology their advanced civilization could devise. His species, masters of biological sciences, who had lived in harmony with engineered ecosystems for 10,000 years, were being destroyed by something that seemed to exist in defiance of all natural law. The Cathari resembled tall, elegant beings with pale blue skin and silver hair, their large eyes adapted for the soft light of their twin star system. Nith stood in the observation deck of his flagship, watching as another of their great city trees withered and died on the planet below. Commander, his aide approached with the hesitation that had become common among his people as hope faded. The final research team has reported. Every biological sample they tested has been consumed by the plague within hours. They estimate 3 more months before total extinction. Nith closed his eyes, feeling the weight of his species' survival pressing down on him. The Cathari had always been known throughout the galaxy for their wisdom and patience, but wisdom meant nothing when faced with extinction. "Sir," his science officer called from across the command center. "Long-range sensors are detecting something unusual from the Sol System quarantine zone." "The forbidden human system?" Nith asked, his interest piqued despite everything. "What kind of readings?" "Life energy signatures unlike anything in our databases. Whatever those humans are doing in there, it's generating massive bioenergetic fields, if even a fraction of our theories about them are correct." Nith felt something he hadn't experienced in months, a spark of hope. The humans were quarantined because they possessed some kind of dangerous ability. But what if that same ability could save his people? "Commander," his aide said carefully, "you cannot be considering what I think you are considering. The quarantine is absolute. Breaking it would make us enemies of the entire galaxy." Nith looked down at his dying world, then up at the stars, where somewhere, beyond an artificial barrier, a species with reality-altering abilities waited unknowingly. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered, "all 75 ships. We're going to break the quarantine. Sir, that's suicide. The entire galaxy will turn against us." Nith turned to face his crew, his silver eyes reflecting the determination that had once made the Cathari great explorers before they became cautious and wise. "My friends, we are already dead. Our world is dying, our people are dying, and nothing we know can save them. But there is a species in that forbidden zone who might possess the power to help us. If we do nothing, we die with honor. If we break the quarantine and fail, we die as criminals. But if we break the quarantine and succeed," he gestured toward the planet below, where the lights of dying cities flickered like failing stars. "If we succeed, we live. And sometimes the choice between honor and survival is no choice at all." As the Cathari fleet prepared for their desperate journey, automated systems throughout the galaxy began detecting massive movements of ships and resources. The quarantine around Sol System was about to be tested for the first time, and no one knew what would happen when desperation met the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. The countdown to first contact had begun, and the universe itself held its breath. When desperation meets determination, the Cathari fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol System like ghosts materializing from a nightmare. 75 ships, each one a masterwork of biotechnology that had taken decades to grow rather than build, hung in space before the glowing barrier that marked humanity's quarantine zone. Commander Neith stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Living Dawn, watching as warning signals immediately began flooding their communication channels. The automated beacons were screaming their warnings in dozens of languages. But behind those warnings, something else caught his attention. "Science Officer Kettle, are you detecting what I am detecting?" Nith asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Kettle." A young Cathari, whose silver hair had begun showing stress patterns from months of failed research, looked up from her instruments with wonder. "Yes, Commander. The energy signatures from the third planet. They are not just reality distortions. They are life enhancement fields. Whatever the humans are doing, it is making everything around them more alive, more vibrant." Through the viewports, they could see the Sol system in a way no other species had been permitted to observe. Earth gleamed like a perfect blue jewel. But more than that, every planet in the system showed signs of subtle improvement. Mars showed trace atmospheres where none should exist. The asteroid belt had organized itself into stable, almost artistic patterns. Even the distant gas giants seemed to pulse with unusual energy. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from inside the quarantine zone. It appears to be from the humans themselves." On the main screen, Captain Zara Thorne's image appeared, her human features alien, yet somehow familiar to the Cathari. Behind her, the bridge of the New Horizons showed technology that was primitive by galactic standards, yet somehow felt more real, more solid than anything in their databases. "Unknown vessels," Zara said, her voice carrying through the translation. "Systems with surprising clarity. This is Captain Zara Thorne of the human exploration ship New Horizons. We have been monitoring your approach and have detected massive bioenergetic disturbances from your ships. Are you in distress?" Commander Nith felt his heart skip a beat. The humans were offering help before even knowing who they were or why they had come. In his experience with galactic politics, such immediate concern for strangers was unheard. "Of Captain Thorne," Nith replied. "I am Commander Nith of the Cathari Defense Force. We are indeed in distress, though not in the way you might expect. Our entire species is dying from a plague that consumes biological matter, the molecular level. We have come seeking your help, knowing that doing so violates galactic law." Zara's expression shifted to one of immediate concern. "How many of your people are affected?" "All of them. Every Cathari in existence. We estimate 3 months before total extinction." Dr. Elena Vasquez moved into the frame beside Zara, her scientific curiosity overriding diplomatic protocols. "Commander, may we see samples of the plague's effects? Our ship's medical bay might be able to analyze the biological patterns." Within minutes, the Cathari transmitted detailed biological scans, medical data, and recordings of the plague's progression. As the human scientists studied the data, something extraordinary began happening. The very act of human minds focusing on the problem, their determination to find a solution, began causing subtle changes in local spacetime. "Elena," Zara said quietly, "are you seeing what I am seeing in these scans?" Dr. Vasquez nodded slowly, her face pale with realization. "This is not a natural plague, Zara. The molecular patterns are too perfect, too precisely designed. This is artificial, a biological weapon created by someone with incredible knowledge of Cathari physiology." Commander Nith felt the hope that had driven him across the galaxy begin to crumble. If it is artificial, then there may be no cure. Whoever created this designed it to be unstoppable. "Maybe," Zara said, her voice carrying a tone that made reality itself seem to listen. "But everything created can be uncreated. Everything broken can be fixed. Elena, bring up our molecular reconstruction protocols." What happened next defied every law of physics known to galactic science. As the human crew focused their collective will on solving the Cathari plague, space around both ships began to change. Energy patterns that had been chaotic became ordered. Random quantum fluctuations aligned themselves into purposeful configurations. Dr. Vasquez worked at her station with an intensity that seemed to bend light around her fingers. "I am seeing something incredible, Zara. The plague is not just consuming biological matter, it is preventing the natural healing processes that all life depends on. But if we could reverse that process. The moment she spoke those words, something fundamental shifted in the fabric of reality. On the Cathari ships, instruments began detecting changes in the plague samples they carried for research. The destructive patterns were slowing, hesitating, as if the universe itself was reconsidering their existence. Commander Nith, Zara said, her voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate through dimensions. We need you to focus on your people surviving. Not hoping they will survive, not wishing they could survive, knowing they will survive. Can you do that? I do not understand, Nith replied. But even as he spoke, he felt something changing in his own mind. The despair that had driven him. To break galactic law was being replaced by something far more powerful. Absolute certainty that his people would live across the Cathari fleet. 75,000 individuals began experiencing the same shift. Their natural telepathic connections, evolved over millennia of living in harmony with their world, began resonating with the strange energy field emanating from the human ship, light years away. On the dying Cathari homeworld, the impossible began to happen. In research facilities where the plague had consumed every sample within hours, new specimens began showing resistance. In hospitals where patients had been given days to live, vital signs began improving. In the great city trees that had withered to lifeless husks, new growth began appearing at the molecular level. High Arbiter Kree detected the changes from the Federation command station and immediately understood what was happening. The humans were not just curing the plague, they were fundamentally altering the nature of reality within their sphere of influence, making it a place where the plague could not exist. Emergency Protocol 7, she commanded, her ancient voice carrying barely controlled terror. Evacuate all Federation personnel from sectors adjacent to Sol System. The humans have achieved conscious reality manipulation. But on the bridge of the new horizons, something even more extraordinary was occurring. Dr. Vasquez had discovered something about the plague that changed everything. Zara, she said, her voice filled with awe. This plague was not created by an enemy species. The molecular signatures match records from the galactic archives. This is a creation of the architects, the same species that nearly destroyed the galaxy 12 million years ago. Commander Nith felt his blood freeze. The architects are extinct. They have been dead for millions of years. Their bodies died, Elena replied, but they left this behind as a test. The plague is not designed to kill. It is designed to identify species that possess reality manipulation abilities. It only affects those who might develop the same powers the architects once wielded. The implications hit everyone simultaneously. The Cathari were not just dying from a plague, they were being tested to see if they possessed the same dangerous abilities that had once nearly unmade the galaxy. And by curing us, Nith said slowly, you humans have revealed that you possess those abilities. Zara looked around at her crew, seeing the same realization in their eyes. They were not just helping another species, they were demonstrating to the galaxy that humanity was exactly what the Federation most feared. Elena, Zara said quietly, how long do we have before the Federation responds to this? According to the energy patterns I am detecting, every major civilization in the galaxy already knows what we just did. The reality distortions we created were visible across 17 sectors. Through the viewports, they could see new energy signatures appearing at the edge of the system. Federation fleets were arriving, not to help or communicate, but to contain what they perceived as the greatest threat in galactic history. But something had changed in the humans during the process of curing the Cathari plague. They now understood what they were, what they could do, and what that meant for their place in the universe. Commander Nith, Zara said, her voice now carrying the weight of species-wide determination. Your people are cured. The plague cannot touch them anymore. But I need you to carry a message back to the galaxy. What message, Captain Thorne? Zara looked directly into the communication pickup, knowing that her words would be recorded, analyzed, and debated by every major civilization in known space. Tell them that humans do not seek to rule or conquer. We do not desire to reshape the galaxy according to our will. But we will not be caged like dangerous animals, and we will not stand by while other species suffer when we have the power to help. She paused, and in that moment of silence, every human in the Sol system felt their minds connecting, their collective unconscious awakening to its true potential. Tell them that Earth remains off limits not because we are dangerous, but because we choose to be. We will help those who truly need it, cure those who truly suffer, and protect those who truly deserve protection. But we will do so on our terms, when we choose, and how we choose. The Federation fleets at the edge of the system detected massive reality distortions as humanity's collective will focused on a single concept. They would be free to choose their own destiny. And tell them, Zara continued, that the quarantine around Earth is no longer their law keeping us in. It is our law keeping everyone else out. The galaxy is welcome to its politics and power games. Humanity will be here when you remember what it means to help someone simply because they need help. Commander Nith bowed in the manner of his people, understanding that he had witnessed the birth of a new age in galactic history. It will be done, Captain Thorne. The Cathari will remember what you have done for us. As the Cathari fleet departed, carrying with them the cure for their plague and a message that would reshape galactic politics, the Federation fleets remained at the edge of the system, unwilling to approach but unable to leave. The quarantine around Earth remained in effect, but now everyone understood the truth. Humanity was not imprisoned by galactic law. The galaxy was being protected from powers beyond its comprehension. And sometimes, when the need was great enough and the cause was just enough, those powers would reach out to help. But always on humanity's terms, and always with the understanding that some gifts come with a price the galaxy was not ready to pay.